Secrets Beneath Jamestown, uncovering a hidden trade network between colonists and indigenous peoples. In the soft, loamy earth of Jamestown, Virginia, the site of America's first permanent English settlement, shovel blades and trowels have been unearthing secrets for centuries. But every so often the soil yields more than just the relics of daily colonial life. Sometimes it whispers of shadowy dealings and silent alliances, hinting at a clandestine world that never made it into the official records. An unearthed mystery. It began with the discovery of a weathered coin, Spanish, not English, and minted decades before Jamestown's founding. Archaeologists brushed off the dirt, puzzled. Why would an English settler in the early 1600s possess Spanish currency, especially in a settlement founded by the English crown? The question deepened as more objects surfaced. Venetian glass beads, copper pendants, and clay pipes of distinctly non-English design. Each find seemed to suggest a hidden layer to Jamestown's history, one that went beyond the well-documented struggles of survival, disease, and conflict. Among these unearthed treasures, the most intriguing were the small personal objects, tokens and trinkets that pointed to exchange, not just between colonists, but with the indigenous Powhatan people. The artifacts weren't merely evidence of coexistence, they were clues to a covert network of trade and negotiation. The web of unofficial exchange. Officially, the English saw themselves as the bearers of civilization, tasked with converting and controlling the savages. The history books recall tense diplomacy, open warfare, and uneasy truces. Yet the artifacts paint a more complicated picture. Beneath the surface of Jamestown's colonial enterprise, there existed a web of unofficial barter, one that often crossed cultural and even legal boundaries. How did this hidden network operate? Spanish coins, for instance, were not legal tender in Jamestown, but they were highly valued by indigenous traders for their metal content and exotic origins. Venetian beads, arriving via English or Dutch intermediaries, became prized adornments in Powhatan society. Copper pendants, hammered from European kettles, served as both currency and status symbols in native villages. These goods didn't always pass through the hands of governors and company officials. Instead, many exchanges took place at the fringes, along the river banks at dusk, in the woods beyond the palisade, or by candlelight in the corners of crowded huts. Colonists, desperate for food or favor, would secretly trade tools, metal, or trinkets for corn, venison, or local knowledge. In defiance of strict colonial rules, these back-channel dealings became a lifeline for survival. The human stories. Behind the relics, imagine a young colonist, his rations running dangerously low, slipping out of the stockade with a handful of beads and a copper buckle. He meets a Powhatan woman at the forest's edge. Wordlessly, they exchange goods, both fully aware of the risks. For the colonist, it's a chance to stave off hunger. For the Powhatan, it's a way to acquire European wares that will enhance her standing in the tribe. Each coin or bead recovered from Jamestown's soil is a silent witness to these unrecorded moments of risk, negotiation, and shared humanity. The objects are often found in odd places, buried in the floorboards of abandoned homes, clustered in refuse pits, or hidden in the ashes of long-cold hearths. Their placement suggests secrecy and perhaps even fear of discovery. What the artifacts reveal. The cumulative weight of these discoveries has forced historians to rethink the early years at Jamestown. Far from a rigid one-sided story, the settlement's survival may have depended as much on these hidden trade networks as on official diplomacy or English supplies. The Powhatan, too, used these exchanges to their advantage, balancing power, forging alliances, and subtly shaping the destiny of the colony. Recent archaeological digs have even uncovered hybrid objects, tools with English blades set into native handles, or jewelry combining European and indigenous materials. These relics speak to cultural blending, adaptation, and the practical ingenuity of people on both sides of the exchange. The enduring mystery. Despite decades of excavation, Jamestown continues to yield surprises. Every coin, bead, and pendant deepens the mystery, hinting at alliances and agreements that will never be fully known. The official records remain silent about much of this commerce, but the ground itself tells a different story, a story of pragmatism, connection, and the quiet power of trade. As you walk the paths around Jamestown today, it's tempting to view the old fort and reconstructed town as static relics of the past. But beneath your feet lies an invisible network, woven from whispers and handshakes, barter and risk. The secrets of Jamestown are not just in its monuments, but in the small, forgotten objects that once changed hands in the shadows.